let me join others in thanking the Director of Africa and Middle East of the Hong Kong Trade Development Corporation. My name is Peter Emuze, as you've been told, and I'm the Deputy Consul General of Nigeria here in Hong Kong. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I wish to express my gratitude to these organizers of the HKTDC World SME Expo for giving me and my country this opportunity to address you on this very germane topic, which has currently preoccupied my country in our attempt to woo foreign direct investment, like the last speaker mentioned. The exercise actually is spearheaded by no less than the president of my country. In fact, he's been to Australia during the Commonwealth Executive meeting. Last week he was in France to attend an investment drive put up by Lady Lyndon Choker, the former British Undersecretary. So, I mean, that goes to show the extent to which Nigeria is hungry for foreign direct investments. Having said this, you can see the outline of what my lecture is going to cover. First, the business outlook, and then, of course, the investment opportunities, which will also give you reasons why you have to invest in Nigeria, and will narrow the opportunities to oil and gas, and, of course, in solid minerals. But, of course, there are also other areas which are immense and are crying for investments due to a high rate of what I would call infrastructural deficits. So, having said this, I'd like to tell you that Nigeria's business outlook is very great, and the government of Nigeria has put in place what is referred to as a transformation agenda, which is supposed to lead to the revamping of Nigeria's total economic system. And Nigeria has not only done that, it has also created a special ministry for trade and investment for the first time in the history of the country. And this foreign policy process is now being geared towards economic diplomacy. All these are government efforts to create an enabling environment for direct foreign investment. So, in talking about the business outlook, I would like to inform you that it is great for SME and large-scale investments. Nigeria is the largest country in Africa. From what Philip said, Nigeria's real population as of last month was put at 167 million. So that in itself makes it for Nigeria to be positioned as the largest market in Africa for all kinds of products and for all kinds of investments that you can think of. The population is there, the middle income earners is quite very large, and so are the opportunities for foreign direct investments too. So its endowment of rich natural resources, including mineral and agricultural produce, all complement the investment haven that Nigeria is. And what I also need to let you know is that apart from Nigeria's prowess and is being a leading player in the sub-regional economic group in which the Director of Middle East of HKTDC just told you, Nigeria also is an active player in the West African economic grouping called ECOWAS, that is the Economic Community of West African States. So that whatever is manufactured in Nigeria, if you are going to invest in manufacture or in any SME, gets to the other West African countries. So Nigeria becomes a hub for the entire West African region in terms of produced goods and manufactured goods. So an investment in Nigeria, like we said, thoroughly implies an investment in the West African sub-region, whose volume of distributed trade is dominated by Nigeria. Most products manufactured or imported into Nigeria are distributed in many West African countries. But of course, we cannot do justice to this topic of the business outlook and opportunities for investment without talking about the role the Nigerian government is playing. Like I said, the government is there to provide the enabling environment for business, for investors, and to address a lot of problems that are in infrastructure, power, like he mentioned earlier. So the government of Nigeria's transformation agenda is also in line with its determination or drive to be among the first 20 largest economies in the world by the year 2020. As a matter of fact, as you can see, it has carved out a framework which is known as Vision 20-20-20. That is to be one of the 20th largest economies by the year 2020. So that is government efforts towards, making sure that everything in place. And like I said earlier, the drive is no less, spearheaded by a person than the president himself. The framework is supposed to put Nigeria in the process towards achieving this dream. So, but on the macroeconomic framework and the economic direction, Nigeria's GDP growth rate is put at 11.7 per annum. And for the period of 2011 to 2015, it hopes that it will translate to real and nominal GDP of about 428.6 billion naira. Well, I don't want to bog you down with figures, but of course, the Nigerian naira is about 150 naira to $1 US. But of course, I hope the organizers can let you have a copy of the slides, or if you want the full script itself, that gives you more detailed breakdown. So, but what is important is that the GDP growth rate is going to be at around 11.7% per annum between 2011 and 2015. And GDP growth of 2011 will be driven largely by oil and gas, solid minerals, agriculture, ICT equipment and software, telecommunications, wholesale and retail trade, tourism and entertainment, manufacturing, and of course, building and construction. So this is a graphical outlook of what you have in terms of total investments planned between 2011 to 2015. Total investment of 40.75 billion Nigerian naira is expected. And of course, you have the public sector still larger than the private sector. So this calls for more investment from all over. The total investment projected for the period earlier mentioned is 40.75 trillion for the period 2011 to 2015. The public sector 24.45 trillion or 60%, and the private sector 16.30 trillion naira or 40%. Some of the key policies to be pursued by government during the program period are as follows. Because like I said, the government has to create an enabling environment. It has to make sure the financial sector is reformed and well organized to provide needed capital for SMEs or for even foreigners who want to invest in Nigeria and make sure that they can easily repatriate their profits. So government is going to ensure that there's greater harmony between fiscal and monetary policy. And there's a team being put in place called the National Economic Management Team to make sure that this is achieved. It is also going to pursue macroeconomic policies, fiscal prudence, supported by appropriate monetary policy to contain inflation at single digit. The business process shall be reviewed with clarity of roles between executive and legislature. And the government is also going to institutionalize the culture of development planning at all levels of government, with the eventual aim of having job creation, public expenditure management, and good governance. As you know, with regards to good governance, Nigeria this year conducted what is regarded as the freest elections in its history. And that had also been acknowledged and applauded by leading countries of the world, including the US, China, Russia, even Britain and France. So that is to show that there is relative stability. In the past, Nigeria was dominated by, military interregnum. So, but now for the past 11 years, our democracy has stabilized, because when you have a good government, it means you have a good climate for investment and for the economy to open up and develop. So these are all the other areas that government is also focusing in terms of infrastructural deficit: transportation, real estate or housing, ICT, and development of the Federal Capital Territory, and of course the Niger Delta area, which is where Nigeria mines most of its oil and gas. The place had been restive in the past with militants, but now the government, through the process of dialogue, has been able to solve that problem, and now even those militants have been given a general amnesty, and many of them have been trained in South Africa and other countries in Europe in all areas of endeavors. So there is no longer vandalization of the oil pipelines or seizure of ships carrying oil. There is relative peace in the Niger Delta in Nigeria. So what it means is that later I will talk about the opportunities that exist in the oil sector. But for now, there is no fear, both in the upstream and downstream sector. This is the amount that is going to be devoted, or estimates, for the infrastructure, power, ICT, and transportation. Mr. Phillips said earlier that Nigeria needs a lot of investment in the power sector. That is very, very true. And what the government has done is to privatize the power holding company, and is opening up new areas and calling on foreign direct investors in this area. As he mentioned, Russia is playing a leading role, even China too. They are building what is regarded as IPP, independent power plants, hydroelectricity plants, and so on. So there are a lot of opportunities in this sector, because if you imagine the population, and you can imagine how much money any investor will make if he goes into investing in the power sector. Same thing for transportation, road construction under private-public partnership, or build, operate, transfer, or build, operate, and own. So there are so many business arrangements that have been put in place to encourage, investors from abroad. You can build a road, put up your toll gates, and collect and run it for as many years as possible. It depends on which arrangements you reach with the government. So these are other areas that government is calling for, that is investment in the infrastructural sector of the country: power, transportation, ICT, even if it is building airports, expanding ports, So all these are there, and we call upon many people to take advantage of the opportunities offered. There is, under power, you can participate either in generation, transmission, distribution, alternative energy. And of course, for ICT, the sky is the limit. You can see more on the transport, part of under infrastructure. So I will move straight to what government has also done. Government has also, in a way, been able to, through the financial sector, contribute to the growth of SMEs. It has put in place a lot of funds available for these small-scale industries and other, small-scale enterprises. What you have on the list is what the central bank is spearheading in terms of injecting capital into the growth of SMEs, which are mostly the engine of growth in any economy. And there are about 3 million SMEs in Nigeria, and we still know that we need more. So this, in a rough shell, is the figures of money that the government, to the central bank, is injecting into developing small-scale enterprises. And more also, foreign investors who are on the small scale can also avail themselves of this loan to expand their businesses. Well, this is the macroeconomic environment, which, you don't have to bother yourself because they are graphical. But like I said, the slide is available. This is the performance, the growth rate of the sectoral real GDP in terms of agriculture, manufacturing, oil and gas, and the rest. But what is important is to look at a summary of what I have said, that this year Nigeria was picked by some of the most influential investors in emerging markets, financed at the Reuters Emerging Markets Summit in Sao Paulo in July as one of the foremost destinations for investment in Africa. So you can't have it more if it is coming from Reuters, a well-reputable organization. The last part of this lecture, this seminar, this paper will be talking about investment opportunities and the reasons why you have to invest in Nigeria. Like I said, you have abundant resources, both agricultural and natural, oil and gas, different minerals. Nigeria is a large market. There's political stability. It has a free market economy, a robust private sector. It has free flow of investment. It has attractive investments, such that, I can mention one. If you invest in Nigeria, you can repatriate your profit 400%. So, that is what any investor would dream of. You can repatriate your profit 100%. And it also has a skilled and low-cost labor, and of course, infrastructure. The market economy, like I said, is dominated by crude oil exports, accounting for 90% of its foreign exchange earnings. So you don't have any fear of repatriating your profits in hard currency. Other exports Nigeria also is engaged in includes cocoa, palm oil, granules, cotton, timber, and rubber. And the fact that Nigeria's imports amounts to about 14.54 billion US dollar goes to show the extent to which, people who can also export to Nigeria. You can export machinery to Nigeria, chemicals, transport equipment, manufacture goods, and live animals. So all this, for those who may not think of even wanting to establish a production unit in Nigeria. But under oil and gas specifically, you have a lot of opportunities in both what we call the upstream and the downstream. Of course, the upstream is for the big players, the big multinationals, because some of them involve deep sea oil exploration and mining. So these are the areas that you have on the screen in which you can invest under the upstream sector of the oil and gas, surveying, civil works, etc., etc. Now, the downstream is where you can play a part as a small-scale investor. If you want to manufacture things like plastics, produce alkyl benzene, carbon black polypropylene, producing industries. So you have quite a variety of it. If you want to also refine crude oil into petroleum on a small scale, you don't have to build a big and giant refinery. You can start on a small scale. And incentives are there to encourage people who want to. So you still have more of that. You can also market, distribute, own a lot of oil retailing outlets, and also produce small-scale production of chemicals and solvents, which are all listed on the screen. Then another area which is trying for investment is solid minerals. And Nigeria is known to have a total of 34 minerals in commercial quantities, which are more than value the oil Nigeria even has. I know Nigeria, in terms of oil, we are the 6th largest producer in the world, with a reserve of about 34.5 billion, 35.4 billion reserves of oil, barrels of oil. Nigeria currently has increased its production from about 1.8 million barrels a day to, according to the Minister of Petroleum Resources last week when he faced the Senate, Nigeria now produces 2.6 million barrels of oil a day. I mean, this goes to show the extent to which it has been able to address the Niger Delta militant problem and relative stability. The other day, I think it was 2 days ago, I received Nigeria's former Minister of Petroleum, who for a long time was our oil minister, was in OPEC at the Renaissance Capital Conference, which held at the Mandarin Oriental. And he was telling me that Nigeria has the capacity to produce 4 million barrels a day. And that is going to be in place. So the opportunities are there. And you know, oil is a major demand. It's a major demand now by many countries, like Mr. Phillips said, China, India, and other countries. So the opportunities are there. But talking about solid minerals, these are areas that have all along been de-emphasized by Nigeria because of the dependence or over-dependence on oil resources. So we have gold, we have silver, we have lead, zinc, gypsum, an additive for making cement, glass sands, clay, asbestos, graphite, iron ore, among others. So we also have precious stones in Nigeria. So like I said, these are other opportunities that are open to the potential investor. So in conclusion, I first like to thank you for this opportunity, and again to let you know that Nigeria's business outlook is real in terms of what it has, an infrastructure that has been put in place to ensure an environment that is stable and enabling. Secondly or thirdly, there are numerous opportunities for investment, and government's transformation agenda is supportive and opening up of new areas for foreign direct investments. The infrastructural deficits which Nigeria is experiencing are being addressed with massive injection of funds to encourage and provide an investment climate. Thank you very much.